Okay, so I'm actually not going to call any representatives today because uh, nobody's going to answer. Last night, the Senate successfully agreed to fund the five appropriations bills that don't include the DHS funding, and they have agreed to 2 weeks to keep negotiating on the bill that does include the DHS funding so that they can hopefully add the provisions that people are hoping for. Um, this means that if changes are made in the Senate, it will have to go back down to the House. The House is not in session this week. They come back next week. There may be a brief shutdown. They're hoping that that won't happen. Um, at any rate, it would be a partial shutdown if there is. Um, that said, it would then need to go back down to the House, back up to the Senate. Everybody has to vote on it, yada, yada. So you need to continue putting pressure on your representatives by calling them and not letting up on the issues that you want to see happen for your democracy, we the people. Um, the big asks, the changes to the bill are three things. Um, First is requiring judicial warrants, so signed by a judge, not an administrative warrant, which is what ICE has typically been using, which are essentially ICE giving ICE permission to enter someone's home. In most cases, like if a police officer comes to your door, they need a warrant signed by a judge to enter your home, which is why you don't open the door unless they have that. Um, Second, they're looking to make independent investigations into federal officers easier. So, in the case of like the Renee Good shooting, the state of Minneapolis was blocked from as an investigative partner. So, this is kind of like having your best friend grade your homework. It's ICE is investigating ICE in the same way that ICE is giving permission to ICE to enter homes. It's not in any way independent. They may find the same thing, but at least if there is an independent investigation, I think everybody would feel better about it. And third, which is something that people have been screaming about for months since the beginning of this, and I don't really understand at all why is it a problem, um, that clear identification, uncovered faces, and the wearing of body cameras need to be enacted. Why are we even talking about this? This is not something that should even have to be legislated. They are not undercover agents. These are not like CIA operatives working in a foreign country where they need to be in disguise. The idea that if I get pulled over by an unmarked car and a man whose face is covered, who does not have a badge, who does not have a nameplate, comes to my window, I'm supposed to roll down my window. No, absolutely not. Every woman in America has been taught to never do this. So I don't know why suddenly we are being expected that because these people are saying that they are federal. I can say that I'm whoever I want. I can say that I am, the Queen of Sheba. That doesn't make me the Queen of Sheba. It's dangerous for civilians, it's dangerous for officers. But at least there's something to say, okay, that looks like a real NYPD badge. That looks like a real ICE or CBP badge. Like the idea that you don't have any evidence to suggest that you are who you say you are is absolutely freaking insane. Um, Also, there was a raid earlier this week uh, in Fulton County, Georgia, at an election facility by the FBI. And for some reason, Tulsi Gabbard was there. Nobody knows why. Um, this is in addition to last week or 2 weeks ago, when Pam Bondi, um, during all what has been going on in Minneapolis, demanded the voter rolls from Minneapolis, telling Governor Tim Walz that it would help bring an end to the chaos in Minneapolis uh, by turning in those voter rolls, which, I don't know, feels like a threat or ransom to me. But also, like, shouldn't Pam and her buddy Kash Patel be busy, I don't know, unredacting the Epstein files that were due on December 19th? You know, the ones that were on her desk, and then they were handed out in binders to influencers, and then they never existed, and then the president's name wasn't in them, and then the whole thing is a hoax. Those Epstein files? Shouldn't they be busy with that? Voting is your sacred right in this country. Um, and it is private. Uh, this is bad on so many levels. And again, it is also a distraction from the fact that the DOJ has not released the Epstein files. They were due December 19th. They were legally obligated to release all of them and give an explanation for any parts of them that were still redacted. None of that has happened. There was no, for the ones that have been released, there was no explanation for why they were redacted. And there are thousands of documents that have still not been released. Call your representatives, stay on top of them about these issues. I'll get back to calling people next week. We have to stay on top of these people. It's your democracy.